This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about the shininess of 80s fitness attire, our own experiences in CrossFit cults, and the aerodynamics of cheese throwing. All that and more as we rewatch Season 2, Episode 2 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sophia, and joining me is my co-host and my co-brother. No, wait, just my full brother, but my co-host, Imran. What's up, Imran?
What's up, Sophia? How's it going? I'm good. I'm ready to sweat, Sophia.
You're ready to sweat?
Guess what I'm wearing? I have on a headband. I've got wristbands on.
Amazing.
I've got a mint green tank top and matching mint green tiny shorts. I've got Velcro sneakers, and my socks are pulled up to the
all
appropriate
the way up.
1980s height. Yes.
You sound like the
halfway up your
perfect
shins.
1980s character for the episode we're watching today, Season 2, Episode 2 of Perfect Strangers, entitled Hunks Like Us.
Let's get physical,
Hunks
to quote
like us.
Olivia Newton-John.
Let's talk about this word hunk first. I feel like this is a really old-timey word for like hot guys, or like a very 80s word. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say this word hunk in like the last 20 years. Like, I think it was a very 80s thing where like women were like, ooh, what a hunk.
Check out that hunk. It reminds me of like John Hughes movies and, just 80s movies and big hair and the mall culture.
When I watched this episode and we were before we started recording tonight, I just was saying hunk to myself over and over. I'm like,
what
it sounds really strange.
It's a weird word.
Hunk.
It's like chunk.
What a hunk.
Or hulk or hunk. And the title Hunks Like Us may have been maybe inspired by a movie that had come out a few years earlier, 1985, a film called Spies Like Us, which is a hilarious 80s comedy starring SNL alums Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it.
Well, I'm glad you're dressed appropriately for tonight's episode.
Yoga pants?
And I'm really glad that this is a podcast because I am not, in fact, dressed in a 1980s metallic hot pink leotard.
Did you have enough hairspray for this episode is my question.
I did not have enough leotards nor enough hairspray.
If you were to open the TV guide, Sophia, and read the description for this week because you were excited like us to watch Perfect Strangers every week, it would have said Larry and Balky join a health club, but overdo the exercise trying to impress women. Of course.
Of course.
This is going to be great.
Very straightforward and to the point.
I'm ready to get some cardio here. This episode directed by Joel Zwick, written by Alan Mendel, airing September 24th, 1986. And of course, Perfect Strangers created by Dale McRaven, starring the great Bronson Pinchot and Mark Lynn Baker.
Act 1. We open, once again, at everyone's favorite Ritz discount mystery store.
Is there a sale on today?
There's always a sale on. And this is maybe the first episode since we started our podcast that does not open immediately with a physical comedy bit. But there are some good lines right at the start. Larry is cleaning the window next to the entrance of the store, and we get a Twinkasetti line right from the start.
My favorite.
Which is great. Ernie Sabella enters the store, and he tells Larry, nice job. You finally found a task worthy of your talent. He is so mean.
I love Twinkasetti. Twinkasetti will tell you the truth. He will not beat around the bush, right?
He's real. In today's parlance, we would say that guy keeps it real.
That guy does keep it real, but they waste no time as Balky rushes in to the store and tells Larry, cousin, congratulate me. And Larry goes, congratulations. For what? Balky says, I joined a healthy club.
A healthy club. Our first Balkyism right at the top. Larry kind of rolls his eyes and goes, ugh, and he asks Balky why, to which Balky immediately starts reciting the sales pitch he likely got at that healthy club. And he says, with aerobic exercise and weight resistance, you can whittle away that disgusting body bag of fat you got and reap cardiovascular benefits. Whatever those are.
Whatever those are. Of course, this is a ripoff. We all been there. Larry tells him, Balky, these clubs are out to rip you off. And Balky's like, what'd that mean? In which Twinkasetti chimes in and goes, turnip, turnip, turnip. They sell you memberships to maroons like you, and they split town with all the dough. Wish I had thought of that.
He's so mean.
Can you imagine a Twinkasetti gym where nothing is clean and the lights aren't on?
Gross. Twinkasetti's just counting his dollar bills in the corner and telling you to get more reps in. Larry says that he would never join a health club, and he points to his brain, his head, and he says, this river runs too deep, meaning he would never fall for that BS.
Okay, because I was like Balky, because at this point, Balky leans over and looks at the side of his head confused, and I was kind of confused too. I was like, wait, what does that mean? Meaning he would never fall for it. Okay, gotcha. See, you're smarter than me.
Yeah, but Balky's expression and that little moment of looking is very funny. He just sort of like looks at his head with an expression that says, "What exactly? What river are you talking about?"
And so then Balky tells Larry, "Oh, we meet women in tight leotards there."
But that's not enough to sway Larry, because he explains to Balky that women who go to health clubs are not interested in men like them, and he convinces Balky it's a waste of money, and he convinces Balky to cancel his membership.
Balky says, but how am I supposed to get exercise? As he picks up the phone to call and cancel, and Twinkie slaps the phone out of his hands. He goes, you want exercise? I got 50 cases of motor oil in the stock room. Why don't you work out on those?
Twinkasetti is so mean, but Balky is like way too innocent, and he looks to Larry and he says, and you say he doesn't care about me. But hold on. What's with all the motor oil at Ritz discount?
If you
remember a few episodes ago.
It was on sale. It didn't do well, I guess.
Balky and Larry were making a pyramid out of cans of motor oil. Why does this shop sell so much motor oil?
They got to move the motor oil. Put it to the front. Put it in the window. Twinkie's like, we got to move this motor oil.
Maybe it's just the props that the studio had, and they just kept reusing them in
We've
the
had
episodes.
these cans of motor oil since the 50s.
Write them into the scripts, yeah.
And then we get a first appearance of a new character that we are going to see a lot of in the next 7 years. Of course, it's Jennifer Lyons, played by Melanie Wilson, entering the store with big hair,
big 80s
denim
hair.
jacket, denim pants, looking for Balky.
And Larry sees her enter the store and is immediately smitten.
Oh,
she has
it.
his attention.
Love at first sight.
Jennifer explains that she is the one who sold Balky the membership to the health club, but Balky forgot to sign the application, so she's come looking for him. And Larry, all of a sudden, is interested in Jennifer, of course, but also in joining this health club.
I love when she first shows up. She goes, I'm looking for Balky Bartakamus. He goes, I'm Balky Bartakamus, his cousin, Larry Appleton.
Balky comes back with the motor oil, and he tries to tell Jennifer that he's about to cancel his membership, but Larry stops him, and he pulls him aside, and he goes, you can't. I am in love with her. And Balky's confused. And he says, did I miss something? And he pulls him close. He says, I think we're going to spend the rest of our lives together. And Balky gives him this very innocent, loving smile and puts his arm around him. And Larry says, not you and me. And he nods his head toward Jennifer. Let's pause there.
I love that.
Larry is immediately smitten. And he is putting out this very strong language, which in today's time would be seen as creepy.
It's a little aggressive, yes.
I love her. We're going to spend the rest of our lives together.
It gets a little more aggressive as the episode goes on, but if you just think about it in terms of instant infatuation and soulmates meeting or whatever. But yeah, he just met her and he is in love with her. That's amazing. Yes. He moves very fast. Balky asks Larry if he's asked Jennifer out yet. And Larry, I love this, several times in the episode, he'll just scoff like you can take the boy out of Epos. And then he explains that women like this, Balky, are only interested in jocks. I can't just ask her out. I have to deceive her first. What?
Oh,
what?
My goodness.
Well, is this like negging? It's like, in the game, the book,
this
like
is
the art
just
of pickup.
like, annoying man behavior.
But it is tapping into what the machismo of the back then and now a little bit.
Her. I think we're reading it in this kind of icky way because of the times we've since lived through since 1986. But I think maybe back then, this "I have to deceive her" first line was more intended to be like, I have to lie to her about about how I am because she won't like me for who I am.
And they're pointing out, people's insecurities and the folly of like this thing. And it still happens now. You see these dudes, they roll up, they're fronting, they think they're all bad, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yes. And I have certainly been hit on in the gym before, and it's not.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yeah.
We might have to get that story later. That's fun. But Jennifer does invite Larry. She's like, why don't you come tomorrow with Balky, see how you like it? Larry goes, well, sure, I'll have to skip my 15-mile run. And Jennifer leaves, and Balky goes, wow, cousin, you run 15 miles every day. What do you do? Get up real early before I'm awake? Larry just looks at him and goes, yes.
Yes. Larry is now past the point of explaining his subtext to Balky.
No, and it happens again later. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
There's no point in wasting time explaining. Just go
He's
along
just like,
with it.
yes. Yes, I do. Okay, so we cut to the next scene. Now we're inside the fitness club.
Oh my God, we are in a 1980s
I think this
fitness club.
deserves a little bit of description.
Absolutely.
I don't know if this is, I wasn't old enough to be in fitness clubs in the 80s, but I don't know if this is how they looked or if it was just for the show. But first of all, Larry is back in his mint ensemble. He's in a mint sweatshirt and gray sweatpants. And Balky is wearing a collared short sleeve shirt, these black baggy knee length shorts, black dress shoes, and black socks that are pulled up well past his ankles.
Well, it's kind of like your old timey circus heavy man, like someone who'd have a handlebar mustache would be wearing this.
That's right.
Is this what they worked out in a Meepos? This is Meeposian workout gear right here.
Maybe.
Yeah. But then the set itself, obviously this is the same set where the restaurant was, where the bar was.
Yes, this is the same set. There's carpeting.
This is
it's
what
like
I
a
don't-
room,
Can we
a
just-
small room where everything's in the same room, from weight bench to
Stationary bikes.
stationary bikes.
It's pink
to,
and gray. But why is there carpeting? What, have you ever seen
know
a
why
gym
there's
with
carpeting.
carpeting?
No, that's disgusting.
That's amazing and disgusting. Yes,
That's
absolutely.
disgusting. And also, everyone in this scene, all the extras that are playing the gym goers, the women are all in these tight leotards. I was like, was it a rule in the 80s that you could not enter a gym
No, of course
unless you
not.
were in a tight
Of course not.
leotard?
They are all doing a proper seated twist, though, I noticed.
Well, there's a group of women in the
Doing like a
middle of
yoga
the room
twist.
that are stretching.
Yeah.
And Balky and Larry walk in, and Balky says, so many women, so little body fat.
Larry goes, okay, Balky, here's the ground rules. Jennifer is mine. Okay, a little possessive there, Larry.
Very aggressive again.
Balky goes, I saw her first. Larry goes, but I lusted after her first. This is America. Learn the customs. Balky goes, I never heard of that custom. He goes, it's new.
It's new. Okay, so again, Larry
Jennifer
is being very
is
aggressive and
mine.
borderline
Possessive,
creepy.
A little bit, but it's in 1986.
But he is smitten, and he has claimed her as his.
Look, I admire. He knows what he wants, and he's going to
Claimed
get
her.
what he wants. Like he has a goal. At least he's following through or trying to. We'll see how good he follows through.
And then we start these amazing bits of physical comedy in
So
the gym.
great.
Larry
So
tells
great.
Balky, I'm going to go hit the weights. And he says his classic phrase, watch and learn.
Watch and
Learn. Larryism.
And they go over to one of these machines. It's like
It's a reclining lat pull down
pull-down.
station. So it's a lat pull down, but he's actually lying down on the bench instead of sitting facing it. And there's this big, beefy, muscly guy at that station who
He's
is also,
huge.
by the way, dressed a hunk, as you would say. I
is
guess
a
he would
hunks.
be the classic definition of a hunk. He's dressed in this very 80s muscle man workout ensemble, tight spandexy shorts with a very low cut tank top that shows his pecs.
Yeah, you think like Hulk Hogan or like Lou Ferrigno in the 80s.
yeah.
That's the look. Or Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s at Gold's Gym. Like that was the look.
And he sees Larry approaching, and he looks at the machine, and he says, there's a lot of weight on there. You probably want to lower it. And Larry acts all macho. He says, nah, no pain, no gain. And he lies down on the bench, and the beefy dude, the hunk, helps him by lowering the pull-down bar, bringing it to him, to his arms, and then he walks away. Larry grabs the bar as the weights fall back down to the stack. The bar lifts Larry's whole top part of his body up into the air. and he's holding on to it. I don't know if that description made any sense, but
He just goes flying up and his feet are down and Balky goes, oh, that guy must have been doing it wrong. Larry's like, Balky, help me. And Balky pushes his chest, pushes him back flat down and lets go. And Larry pops back up again.
right, because he hasn't let go of the bar. And so they do this a couple more times where Balky's pushing him down by the chest and then he goes back up when Balky lets go.
Because this
Finally,
is fun.
Balky just like lays his whole body on top of Larry's and brings him back down to the bench and like wraps his arms and legs around Larry and the bench. And of course, that's when Jennifer walks in.
They're in a very compromising position and they both look up and go, hi.
Which is another thing that will repeat in scenes in this show later on. This sort of in unison hi when they're walked in on in a compromised position.
Hi. Jennifer does it. She's just kind of like whatever. And she's like, hey, there's an advanced aerobic class starting. There's a beginner one later. You could join that one. And Larry's going, no, we
Wait,
can do
but
the beginner.
what is Jennifer wearing? Jennifer is wearing a bright pink, a metallic pink leotard. And her 80s hair is still blown
huge.
out.
It's huge.
Nobody wrapped up nobody put their hair in ponytails in the gyms in the 80s.
While they were working out, it's like perfectly blown out. And they start the advanced aerobics class and they just start jogging in place. And Larry's like, oh, this is easy. What is this? And he they do-si-do, Balky and Larry jog around each other, and he jogs over to Jennifer. He goes, this is advanced? This is a joke. And then he's about to ask her if she's going with anyone when the instructor yells, arms! And the arms fly out, they knock him back.
And he's pushed to the back row.
Meanwhile, this is great. We get another first appearance of lovely Marianne. We got to know Marianne, Jennifer's friend, played by Rebecca Arthur. And she just, first of all, if you notice, right when they enter the gym, Rebecca or Marianne walks across the screen. Like before you get to meet her, you see her. And she just jogs right up to Balky.
And Marianne says, hi, I'm Marianne. I'm a Sagittarius. And Balky says, I'm Balky. I'm a Bartokomus. Do you want to go out with me? And Marianne says, I'd love to. And Balky says, I think I just reaped a cardiovascular benefit. Now, herein lies the premise of many a Perfect Strangers episode.
This is the whole show. It's the whole show right here.
That was so easy for Balky. Yeah. He's like, I want to ask her out. I asked her out. She said, yes, done. But Larry always comes in with like, that's not how we do things in America. It's got to be more complicated.
Last episode, this is America. We make things more complicated, Balky.
Yes, that was from the last episode.
And then they cut to hours later. We find out that it's 4 hours later. Balky is on a reclined bench, barely trying to do a sit-up, and then Larry is strapped into, what is that, a Nautilus machine?
It's a chest fly machine.
With your arms are out and you squeeze, and he is just sweaty.
He's sweaty. He's exhausted. They've been trying to show off at working out for 4 hours.
Meanwhile, Jennifer's standing right in front of them with a dumbbell, and her hair still perfect. She's been working out for 4 hours. There's not a drop of sweat in her bright pink leotard.
And of course, Larry pretends like he's not tired at all in front of Jennifer. She walks away and we see that he's completely pooped.
He's
exhausted.
Like, my brain is oatmeal.
Balky says, cousin, we have been here for 4 hours. Are you going to ask her out or what?
Larry goes, I'm going to. I'm not here for my health, you know. Larry's like, I haven't found the right moment, and he can't. And he's like, I can't go now. I'm all sweaty. At which point, Balky has had enough and walks away. As Balky's walking away, Larry's still messing with the machine, and this woman walks by. He's like, 1, 2. This woman walks by. He goes, 63, 64. And then Balky returns.
Balky returns, and he says,
oh, I got it here.
Let's hear it.
Before I tell you what I just did, I want you to know in Meatballs we have a saying. Boy, sticky pada bedi tata. It says, he who hesitates sleeps with the goats.
And then Larry goes, I thought you all slept with goats.
And Balky very innocently goes, we do.
I thought that was so funny. He goes, we do.
It was so cute. Then Balky tells Larry that he asked Jennifer if she'd go out with Larry, and Larry loses his mind. He says, "You what?" And he lunges to grab Balky, but he's still belted to the seat of this chest fly machine. And so Balky just inches a little bit out of Larry's reach, and you see Larry belted into this machine and flailing his arms.
Can I tell you, this is how you know physical comedy is on point, is this is a living cartoon. The line, when the instant when Larry reaches out and he can't get Balky, and Bronson Pinchot makes this beautiful curved
Concave,
line with his body just out of reach, and then Larry goes back and he leads in, and then they pop back. Like, this is timed.
And they do it a couple of times in a row.
It couldn't have been timed better if you had drawn it into cells for a cartoon. Amazing.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Larry finally does unbuckle himself with a yeah, and they both they have this startled look, which is hilarious, and they're chasing each other around the gym now. He catches Balky because Balky hides behind the Nautilus machine, and he just comes up behind him, taps him on the shoulder. Balky goes, "Yes," and he grabs him. He goes, "How dare you interfere with the sanctity of a man's right to date, you scheming girl."
And Balky says, "She said yes."
Oh, thank you. Larry cries and collapses.
Larry is very relieved.
That is a cartoon, and it's so well timed and so well done.
It was so funny. But now we go to Act 2, and Act 2 is perhaps even funnier with the physical comedy.
Oh my God! If I was crying before, my guts were hurting by the end of this
In fact, before we describe it, I'll just mention that I heard Bronson Pinchot in an interview say that this act in this episode, this whole bit of physical comedy that we're about to talk about, is perhaps the thing that entrenched this show's popularity as like the physical comedy humor. It was the first time that people realized, oh, this is what this show is about.
Wow, this is the one that kind of blew him out of the water. And later, listener, stay tuned. I have a funny story about a scene from this episode told by Bronson Pinchot himself. I have some fun.
Okay, so what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Act 2. Exactly. Act 2. We are back at the apartment, and Larry and Balky are walking in, returning from the health club.
Oh, it's so good. They got their chests.
They're very proud of themselves. Their chests are puffed out. They're acting macho. They're just strutting around in circles in the apartment with deep voices, bragging to themselves about their workouts.
I feel great.
And Balky says, "I feel pumped up. I am Conehead the Barbarian."
Of course, you know what he was meant to say, right?
So this is a Balkyism in which he is mixing cultural references. He's mixing Conan, the Barbarian, and the Coneheads.
Both like really famous things. Like Coneheads was famous from SNL, late 70s, and Schwarzenegger had done Conan the Barbarian movies and cemented himself as the big hunky action star. So they're it's kind of funny. They're walking around the apartment, and Balky's like, "So you thought that workout was tough, huh?" And then Larry's like, "No, it was challenging. It was great." He goes, and he's like, "You're not tired?" Balky sits down, and then he shoots right up. He goes, "No, I'm not tired."
And he like picks up the edge of the coffee table.
He picks up the edge of the table to show, and he's walking around all strutting. Larry puts his foot on the table and his hand on his chin in the thinker position. And then Balky slowly copies Larry, puts his foot on the table right next to him. Then they need a plan. Larry goes, "Now, Balky, in 6 hours, 2 women," let me amend that, 2 gorgeous women are coming to this apartment. You know what that means, don't you? And then they do the old nudge, nudge, wink, wink gag.
Where they each look at each other and like, huh, ha, ha, which is a scene we saw a few episodes ago. And Balky plays along. He's laughing right along with Larry. They're doing eye contact. And of course...
What are we talking about?
Exactly.
He doesn't know what they're talking about.
The bit ends.
Larry breaks down their plan. He says, "Here's the plan. What we are trying to achieve is physical contact."
Oh, boy.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, it's interesting
creepy.
that it's not like getting to know their personalities, but he's jumping
he just
right.
wants
Look,
to be all over Jennifer.
Men are men.
Gross.
Men are pigs, you know. But Larry asks Balky, "How do we achieve physical contact?" And Balky goes,
begging? Which at least Balky is thinking about consent.
And then there's a great moment where Larry's face, it's all in facial expressions. He waves it off first, and then he stops and actually considers it. He's like, wait, maybe. And then he's like, no. He's like, no, dancing. And he goes, Cousin Larry, you are a genius. We'll dance, we'll eat, we'll drink with visitors. And as they say this, they do a spontaneously choreographed little dance.
It's so cute. It's a little dainty, like...
It's like arms, plie, bounce around. But I love the idea that that was spontaneous, but it wasn't, obviously. But they are so connected that they just do this dance. It kind of like, it's this weird, it takes you out of it for a second. It puts you back into it.
And actually, it goes along with how Balky says this line. He says, we'll dance, we'll eat, we'll drink with visitors. And at each beat of that line, they're doing a different move in this choreographed
I love it. I love
dance.
that. I love that thing because, like, presumably this is the first time they did that on the spot. But of course, you know,
I think maybe it was the first time, but I think they probably planned it a little bit.
No, I'm saying the characters of Balky and Larry in the fiction, they just simultaneously do this dance together, and it's so funny.
And we can file this under a first because there are many, many more scenes in episodes to come in which they do choreographed dances that are always awesome and hilarious every time.
It's not just the dance of joy, and it's a
not
running
just the
gag.
dance of joy.
Oh wait, there's some great ones.
And actually, both of these actors are really good dancers, but we'll talk about those as they come. So Larry suggests that they first get some rest because, quote, they probably won't be getting any sleep tonight. And Balky looks at Larry confused, and Larry just sighs and rolls his eyes. He's like, forget it.
He's not even going to try it this time.
So they both sit down on the couch, and Balky says, well, I don't feel tired. I just hate sitting around like a bump on a frog.
Ah, there's a Balkyism.
A bump. He means bump on a log. Larry says, well, we'll give it 5 minutes, and if we can't sleep, we'll go for a run. He's still acting all macho, all proud of his physical prowess.
And in the next instant, both their heads conk over, and they are passed out.
And they're passed out on the couch.
Of course, because this is not going to be good when they wake up, if anybody is familiar with this scenario.
The next scene cuts to about 6 hours later, and the two of them are still conked out in the same place on the couch. Larry opens his eyes, and we hear him go, ow. And then he makes the tiniest movements to lift his head and the tiniest movements to turn his wrist to look at his watch. And the whole time he's saying, ow, ow.
He goes, it's almost 8 o'clock, Balky. We overslept and died.
And then he goes, Balky. And this is so funny. Balky just opens his eyes. He doesn't move his body at all. He slowly turns his head and looks up at the ceiling in silence. And then he just goes, ah! Both of them are incredibly sore and in so much pain.
They do this so well. This whole next scene is just a masterpiece. Balky goes, I think we overdid the workout a little, or you threw me out a window.
Okay, so we're going to try to describe the rest of the scene in words, but of course, it's a very physical scene, and therein lies the hilarity.
Well, I love right away. Balky's like, we have to call and cancel this date. We can't do this. And Larry starts to slowly stand up, and then Balky reaches up and grabs Larry and slowly stands up as he pushes Larry back down, at which point Larry grabs Balky and climbs up him, hand over hand, climbing up, and they're both racing to the phone. Because Larry's like,
but
you can't.
They're not racing. They're like shuffling without moving, without bending things that would hurt to bend. So they're like in this pain-grown shuffle toward the phone.
Baby steps.
In baby steps.
Baby steps.
And Larry says, no, you're not. And he's trying to chase him, but he's doing it in a shuffle, and in an effort to slow down Larry, Balky like pushes some books off the side table onto the floor in front of Larry, so he has to like now shuffle around
all the way around the books.
It's very, very funny.
Balky makes it to the phone, and Larry right behind him and puts his hand on the button, and Balky's whacking him with the receiver. At which point there's a knock on the door, The girls are already there.
already.
Now what?
So Balky says, I'll tell them we're too sore. I'll tell them to come back in a month. That's how sore they are.
Larry
And
says
Larry
if they find out we're this sore after one workout, they'll drop us like that. And he brings up his hand slowly and tries to snap it. And he can't. And he does. And he goes, ow.
Ow. So Larry convinces Balky to pretend that he's not in the worst pain of his whole young life, as he puts it. Why? Because Larry says, I want Jennifer. And the way he says it, again, to my 2020 ears, sounds so creepy.
Well, then Balky
I want
he'll
her.
sit back. He goes, okay, if you really want Jennifer.
Yeah.
They both have to help each other to hang the phone up. Each side has one side of the receiver. They can't bend
their arms because it hurts too much.
So then he's like, help me with the door. And he goes, I get the top, you turn the bottom.
Of the door handle.
Yes, of the door handle, which they get, and it swings open and it pins Balky behind there. And Larry's up there, and the girls enter, and Marianne's like, why is it so dark in here?
And Larry says, Balky, turn on the lights. And Balky, he can't bend at his waist because presumably it hurts too much. So he just tilts his whole body forward and like flips the light switch with his nose.
Yeah, he doesn't use his face to turn the lights up. And Jennifer and Marianne are sitting on the couch, and now Larry and Balky have to shuffle over there. And I love this because Larry shuffles over there, but Balky, Bronson Pinchot, he's doing a little snap dance wiggle to play it off. And it's so funny. And then Jennifer goes, are you guys sore from your workouts? And Balky's like, yes. And Larry goes, no, of course not. And Balky goes, of course not, to cover up.
And then, so they're still standing and the girls are sitting. So it's time for them to sit. So they both
hilarious.
Go from standing to sitting on the couch at the same time with a coordinated scream of pain. And Larry, the girls look at them all funny. Larry immediately covers it up by saying karate yells, because we're into many different sports.
It's so funny because they look at him. He just goes, karate. Karate. And they just sit down. It's so funny. So now Balky's like, you guys want some wine and cheese? And Larry's like, well, hold on. Let's, maybe they want to take some rest. Marianne goes, I'm starving. And Larry goes, well, Balky, why don't you get it? You're the one that brought it
mentioned it. Because, of course, now they have to stand up again to go get it from the kitchen, which will be more pain. But they both stand up and they shuffle over to the kitchen. Larry grabs the wine and a corkscrew, and he puts the corkscrew in, and with every turn he just goes ow, 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 ow. And Balky, like, painstakingly wincing while he opens the fridge door to pull out this big wheel of cheese, like a whole entire wheel.
Why did they have a wheel of cheese? First of all, this thing was
what they did in the 80s when they said wine and cheese. It was a whole wheel of cheese.
It's a 10-pound wheel of cheese that he pulls out.
Larry is from Wisconsin, so maybe it was something he brought from home. And Balky is holding this wheel of cheese with straightened arms. So he's holding it like down by his thighs because he can't bend his arms. And he shuffles over to the countertop and he tries to like do this hip thrust to get the cheese onto the counter without bending his arms. And he can't do it. So then he like swings back to toss it onto the counter. But the cheese, of course, goes over the counter and into the trash basket with a big thud.
The girls look back at him and Balky just goes, out of cheese. First of all, I want to know how many takes it took for him, because that's an amazing toss. It bounced off the counter right into the edge. Like it almost missed the trash bag, the wicker basket, but it bounces back in. I bet that took like 10 takes to get that right. But I wondered,
that was like a very large wicker basket to be a trash basket, so maybe they did that on purpose.
But it could have easily, it almost missed it. And I was like, I wonder how many times it took him to do that. Larry asked Balky to help him open the wine. So Balky has the bottom of the wine, and Larry is pulling the corkscrew, and he pulls back on the corkscrew, flies back on the floor. Balky goes flying against the wall. And the girls go, where's Larry? And Balky's like, oh, he's on the floor doing sit-ups. And you hear him go, 37, 38. I'll be right with you guys.
And so they get up and they labor their way. They shuffle in pain back to the living room with wine and glasses. And they sit down with another coordinated scream again. They're like, ah! And Larry pops out of it and he goes, wine. And Jennifer says, we don't drink.
Oh, boy.
So we went through all that effort for nothing. The next scene, they're still on this date. Marianne suggests that they dance.
That was this was the plan. The plan is working.
Yes.
The plan was to get
So
dance
Larry's
for physical
like,
contact.
yes. And Balky says, no, we can't dance. We can't dance.
And then finally, Balky just breaks down. He goes, I have a confession to make to Marianne. We are not the jerks you thought we were.
And Larry goes, jocks. We are not the jocks.
He's
you
messed
thought we
that up, too.
Jerks.
Jennifer says the girls figured they'd be sore from overdoing it at the gym and were surprised that they didn't call to cancel the date.
At which Balky gives Larry the meanest. I told you. Are you kidding me right now?
Don't you give me that look.
And they said, why didn't you? And Larry starts to explain because we thought if we did, and Marianne cuts him off and says, you don't think just because we work out that we're only interested in hunks.
And then Larry does this great scoffing. He's like, yes, I did.
Yes.
And I tried to deceive you. And I'm slime. And I guess you'll probably want to leave now.
And then Balky looks at Marianne and he says, I'm sorry, we can't walk you to the door. Because they don't want to move at all anymore.
Well, you know what? The girls are good sports after all.
So they're like, as long as you've learned your lesson, we'll stay. And then they tell the guys to sit down and they said, we'll go get the cheese from the trash. And so there's a third coordinated sit down with Scream here and that's the end of Act 2.
So funny, dude. That whole, but
So
just wait
funny.
till we get to the end. I can tell you, I can relate to that pain. I'm sure a lot of people got it, and they played it off so well.
It's perfect.
Just genius. So come back, Act 3. It is lesson time.
Lesson
As
time.
Balky and Larry are standing at the front door, and the girls left, and they obviously had a great time. And Balky goes, now you see, cousin, those were two nice ladies. They were not just interested in our semi-hard bodies. They like our insides, too.
And he asks Larry, why did you think they wouldn't like you for who you are? And Larry explains that in high school, the cheerleaders always dated the jocks instead of guys like him.
Oh, he really wanted a cheerleader.
Says, quote, the girls in the Latin club were fine, but just once I wanted a cheerleader. I mean, I really wanted a cheerleader. I mean, I really wanted a cheerleader.
Balky goes, cousin, calm down. You're going to hurt yourself. Look, it's very skeevy, but I can't say that guys in high school did not feel kind of the same way. The cheerleader always went out with the jocks and the hunks, and it was the unattainable, whatever. But really, did you really want a vapid cheerleader? I don't know.
Well, he didn't want the girls in the Latin club. What was wrong with the girls in the Latin club?
Those girls are probably super smart. And
girls are girls at that point. Hormones are hormones.
That's
right?
another weird old trope of Latin clubs. Like, schools don't have Latin clubs anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, everybody took Latin in school. It's weird.
In the 80s? I don't know.
Yeah. Anyways, they're leaning against the door, and Larry asks Balky, what do you want to do now? Balky says, we can watch TV. Larry says, who's going to turn it on? Balky goes, we can listen to a record. Larry says, the stereo is way over there.
And Balky finally says, well, we could go to sleep. And Larry just goes, good night. They're still standing, leaning against the front door. They're still standing. Larry says, good night. They plop their heads to the side and immediately pass out, just like they did on the couch earlier. And then their bodies slowly slump down the wall until they're sitting on the ground. And they both sleepily moan,
And roll credits. Wow. So, look, this is, first of all, first appearance of Jennifer and Marianne. If you've seen the show when you were growing up, obviously, these girls have a big part, and they're on the show for the remainder 7 seasons. And it's notable that, we talked about how Larry is super obsessed, and he says, I feel like we're going to end up together. And so it's a little bit of foreshadowing.
I don't want
to spoil it, but the fact that he goes, I think we're going to spend the rest of our lives together. I like how they work that
I'd
in.
be interested to know if the writers knew that at that point, or if it was just a coincidence that they wrote the line first and then they planned the rest of the relationship.
That's a good question, but that now, knowing the show, this line here makes me think they did actually have this planned out. They kind of mapped out a whole arc, I think. I don't know. Because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that the first time we met her. That's crazy. The big takeaway for me this episode, Sophia, is I can completely relate to how Balky and Larry felt after that workout. The way they acted was so spot on. And the reason I know this, the only reason is because of you, sister.
Yay!
It is because of you. Let me explain.
Tell us why.
Listener,
what did I do?
I am not one who is big on exercise, let's say. I never worked out. I never played sports my whole life. It wasn't until my 30s that I found something that wasn't just dull and monotonous, like, running or going to the gym, something fun. And it was because of you, and it was CrossFit.
Okay, but back up. Before you go on, let me remind you that I had already been doing CrossFit for like a couple years at that point. And I remember that I would send you these messages saying, I'm doing this thing. Here's the description. Here's what I did today. And tomorrow's like this. Yeah. It's pretty cool. You should check it out. We were in different cities at the time as well. You should try it. And you always used to be like, that sounds insane. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to go to the hospital. Wow. I don't want anything to do with it. That sounds awful.
Oh my God. I don't remember that, but that sounds like me.
You were resistant for a long time.
Of course I was. And then I gave it a shot, right? There was a place near work, and it was sweet. I cut them a deal. Like, I did their website and their like social media, and they let me come for free. I was like, great. No, I don't got to pay any money. I can try this out. So, never having exercised my whole life, I'm completely out of shape. I do the one workout, and it's a very basic, it is you do the base slide, it's their beginner. And if you know anything about CrossFit, these are high intensity workouts.
Bit of a cult.
It's a bit of a cult, but the exercise is not like an hour on a treadmill. This is high intensity for a short amount of time. So I did it. It kicked my butt, whatever, that day. I go home. The next day, I wake up, and I kid you not, I did exactly what Balky did. I go, I couldn't straighten my arms. I could not walk down the stairs.
Man.
And literally, I was walking around saying out loud to myself, baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. As I walked around, I thought I had broke myself. I was like, I did something. I'm broken. I did something bad. I was so sore for like 4 days.
All that means to me is that you had bad coaches. They shouldn't have let you start that with that much intensity. Because I started, a few years earlier than that. I started afresh too, but I ramped it up. I don't remember having that moment.
There was no amount of gentle exercise that I had to be thrown in. At that point where I was, you had to just throw me in because of the coddling. I was so out of shape. But
you were trying to be macho like Larry and Balky, I can do this.
And then what's funny is that I became cultish about it.
No gain.
I became totally
listener. Both what you need to know about both your hosts is that for several years, both of us were very 100% bought into the CrossFit cult, which is okay. I think it's like a healthy cult. Yeah. But I, for one, was like full on into it.
You do Murph?
Paleo diet, daily 6 a.m.
Check
CrossFit
out my wall balls.
workouts. I was friends with everyone in the gym, socialized. We all when we went out after work or whatever, we would all leave at like 8:30 so that we could be in bed by 9 so that we could be up by 5 to do a workout at 6. It was insane.
If you're gonna obsess about something, it's a healthy obsession, because I felt the same way. I was like totally into the moves. I wanted to get better. I was into paleo. Yeah. But I was like, at least it's something healthy.
It's healthy. It's addictive, and it sucks you in for sure. It's a little bit dogmatic, depending on the community you're in.
You know what's funny is, I remember the moment where I kept posting my workouts, and you were like, you have to stop. Nobody cares. Stop posting that. And then I stopped.
Here's the thing for the listeners to understand, because I want you all to like me and keep listening to our show. Yes, I was bought in. I loved the community I was in, my CrossFit friends. I, however, was never one to speak about it publicly. Yeah. I only spoke about it to other CrossFit people. I never posted my workouts. I never talked about it. My brother, after saying no and rejecting the idea for so long, saying this sounds awful, then when he started it, got so into it.
I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Which was great, but he became one of those obnoxious CrossFit monsters who spoke about it all the time, who talked about it on social media, and I was a little bit embarrassed. I was like, what have I created?
I had to get that out of my system. I got out of the cult, but now we still work out together.
We have both moved on from CrossFit, although I miss it and I would go back. It's just that it's so expensive.
But it taught me a lot of interesting things and some of the best,
body mechanics,
how to move weight
mobility
safely.
work.
Yeah. And stuff.
We have both moved on. Fun fact, your two co-hosts, my brother and I, we still do the same workouts.
Yes,
We're
we do.
still in different cities.
Yep.
And again, it was my idea and encouragement, but we follow different workout plans and we coordinate our workouts and hold each other accountable.
Well, should we just jump to Perfect Strangers today? That's kind of a nice segue.
Perfect Strangers today. Okay. Gyms are still a ripoff.
Yes,
Larry was right.
The gyms was the Planet Fitness that's like $10 a month for the rest of your life. Even if you don't come, you can't get out of it.
You can't get out of it.
No,
I mean, it's
you
cheap,
can't.
but like if you think about CrossFit, especially in a city, I live in Washington, D.C., my CrossFit gym was super expensive.
It's like
but
hundreds of dollars a month.
I was so bought in that
Yeah.
I was willing to pay that every month.
Yeah, so
super
instead,
expensive.
today, especially now, Corona times when gyms are not even open and they're open and they're shutting back down, we just mentioned are there's an On-It plan that's all online, and it's amazing. And you just download the video and you go at your own pace, and everything I learned in CrossFit is actually comes in handy here.
Comes
still
in very handy because we don't have coaches now to check our form, but thankfully we already can check ourselves a little bit on form and stuff.
The whole program would have been a lot harder had I never done CrossFit. So
exactly.
And I still maintain all that flexibility from CrossFit. So really, I do have to thank you for, because if you didn't change, if I didn't change because of you, like, because your body chemistry changes, my posture's better. Your the fat.
You were
gets cut
headed
away.
down.
I would have been
a bit of an unhealthy path at the time, and a lot of that stuff turned around.
Yeah, I would have
didn't it?
been a lot. I had like borderline diabetes, and like I suppressed it with exercise and diet. So something
Guess what?
needed to be done.
You're welcome.
Saved my life. Thank
for
you.
saving your life.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Cousins to joke more.
Yes, they should.
But yeah, so Perfect Strangers today, I feel like how would Balky and Larry be macho and show off? Like they would just YouTube things and do like 100 burpees or whatever. And
Well, everybody puts on their Instagram story like their back squat max rep
like
now.
push-up challenges. Yeah, everyone, and they would be bragging on social. Yeah, to impress the girls.
Yeah.
They would just make it seem like they did a lot of workout on their social media feeds, make the appearances on Instagram.
Then if you're a dude, you do like a topless dance video on TikTok to get all the followers. This apparently seems to be what the deal is these days with the kids. I don't know with these kids.
Yeah. So the point is, if this episode happened today, we'd still be talking about gyms ripping you off, or even like workout systems like Beachbody. All those Beachbody systems I think are a big scam. Let's talk about some of the Balkyisms and catchphrases, Balkyisms and Larryisms in this episode.
Don't be ridiculous. Not said at all.
Oh, we miss it.
Of course I have. Don't be ridiculous.
There you go. Now we don't miss it anymore. And then you have, I joined a healthy club.
We have another Meposian saying, which is our second so far in the series. We have the cultural mix-up of Conehead the Barbarian, combining Conan and the Coneheads.
We got a great watch and learn.
From Larry.
Watch and learn. I don't think so. Balky gives you one of those. We got Balky's and a ha. All in
And
this
what
episode.
are we talking about?
Of course, that's my favorite.
What are we talking about?
All right, here is what I teased earlier. I have a story here from Bronson Pinchot, an appearance he made on Arsenio Hall. Remember Arsenio?
I remember Arsenio.
1989. He has a story, it's about 2 minutes long, about a scene in this episode. And I think it was a scene, actually, that doesn't actually happen. We'll talk about that later. But the story is hilarious.
No, I mean, of course, we laugh all the time. We love to make each other laugh. And but the two girls that play our girlfriends, the real pretty girls. And the first time they ever came on, Mark and I had been doing it for a while. And we already had all our little guy jokes and all our things. And he said, let's be kind of like nice and kind of try to be a little classy with these women and don't touch them and say anything tacky and grab their behinds and everything. I said, absolutely fine. I understand, because then they'll think we're taking advantage. They'll think we think who the hell we are. He said, fine. That we agreed. So we were doing this thing where we were having them on a date after we'd worked out too much at the gym and gotten really stiff, and we were just working it out. And they were being sort of, shy with us because they didn't know us. We were the stars of the show. So we're sitting on a couch about half the size of this, all squeezed in. And we're doing a thing where he was trying to pour wine. I mean, we were so stiff we could hardly move. So I was picking up the cup, and the girls are sitting right in between us, and he's pouring it. And it wasn't that funny, but when you I don't know, I cracked it. So I started to laugh, and I was laughing, crying, just because it was stupid. And then all of a sudden he pours the wine, and it goes on my arm instead of in the cup. And when it hit my arm, I peed my pants, just because it was like a physical thing. So I stopped.
Wait, you really?
No, I just totally urinated. Totally. So I said, wait till there's more pee coming. I promise you. There's a clip and everything. So I told your producer, I said, I don't want the whole theme of my visit to be urine, but it is going to be. And you'll see. So anyway, so I peed my pants, and I stopped for a second, and I was already laughing. I was wet up here. I was wet down here. And somebody said, Bronson, it isn't that funny. But it was just a chemical thing. So I said, I have peed myself. And everyone said, oh, shut up. And then the girl next to me said, oh, he has! So I jumped up, and I promised never to tell that story, but it's been years, so I can tell it now. Yes, I peed on the guest stars. It doesn't happen too often in sitcom.
That's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Is that reaction where, that joke you play on someone when someone's asleep and you put their fingers in water?
In cold water.
And then they pee themselves. Also, that is a scene that must have been in an earlier script rewrite that was cut.
No, it's when they're on the couch.
No, the four of them never sit on the couch together. Marianne is off on the side. They never pour the wine. Remember,
right.
Why would he be pouring the wine? She said, "We don't drink."
Oh, that's right. It must have been.
So it was like a cut earlier take. But I love him telling that story, and I love the little behind the scenes of when they first met, and they spend the next 7 years together. Sophia, I got some fun games here. If you
love fun games.
You like games? Okay. Fun 80s style games. I'm going to give you a category of two things. You pick one of these categories, and the next time we'll play the other one, right? So you can either pick from classic commercial jingles or 80s sitcom theme songs. What would you like to play?
I'll go with 80s sitcom theme songs. Okay, I was still... For all the listeners, I'm going to caveat this. I was still quite young throughout the 80s. I was there for the whole decade. I was alive in the world. But I was still quite young. But I did watch a lot of TV, so we'll see how I do.
This game is called Spoken Word Theme Song Lyrics from the 80s and 90s. And I'm going to just speak some lyrics. And I'll give you points if you can name the show. And then I'll give you more points if you can actually sing the theme song in the melody.
Or continue the lyrics?
Or continue if you get the show. If you get what the show is and then can sing the melody. Look, we'll start with a real easy one. Having you given us that caveat, I'll give you a softball, all right?
Okay.
Here we go. Here's your first theme lyric.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
Give me a break. I sure deserve it. It's time I made it to the top. Give me a break. I'm looking forward. Get behind me. Pull out every stop. What show is that, Sophia?
Okay, funny thing is, I don't recognize the song, but I know that I remember the show, which is referenced in the lyrics, which was called Gimme a Break.
That's correct.
And that was the show with Nell Carter.
Yes. And Addie, her friend, and has the best scene where Nell is kissing Addie's dad. She's dating and she doesn't know. And Addie walks in and goes, Nell, why are you kissing my father? And Nell Carter goes, Addie? Yo, daddy? It's still so funny.
Nell Carter, who was a crossover character, a spinoff from another show, wasn't it? She was like a nanny or a housekeeper.
I don't know. We'll have to look that up. Do you remember how the theme song went?
Give me a break. Something like that.
Here we go. We'll just play the beginning.
Yes.
Give me a break. Now I know what it takes. I'm putting your feet
on the and I believe that was actually sung by Nell Carter herself.
I remember it now.
Okay,
although her name on the show was not Carter. The actress was Nell Carter, and the name on the show is Nell something else.
Like Nell Harper or something.
Nell Harper,
okay.
Okay, I'm doing okay.
Not bad. You got
some points. I got some points.
Let's move on to something a little more advanced.
Okay.
Here we go. I bet we've been together for 1 million years. And I bet we'll be together for 1 million more. Oh, it's like I started breathing On the night we kissed, and I can't remember what I ever did before. What would we do, baby, without us? What would we do, baby, without us? Ain't there nothing we can't love each other through? What would we do, baby, without us? Sha-la-la-la. So now I read the whole thing. That should give you enough.
Okay, I'm hearing the song in my head. I didn't recognize the earlier part of the lyrics, but say again, what will we do together?
Okay, I will give you another hint. I'm just gonna
wait. I'm so on that.
What will we do, baby, without us? And there ain't nothing we can't love each other through. What would we do, baby, without us? Here's the key. It ends with sha-la-la-la.
Sha-la-la-la, like that, right?
That's
Sha-la-la-la.
okay. I'll give you
I
points for
say
that.
It's Family Ties.
It is Family Ties.
Yay!
Well
Family
done.
Ties, of course, with Kirk Cameron.
No, that's wrong. I have to take your points away. Michael Keaton. Michael P. Keaton as a young Republican.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking Growing Pains.
That's
okay.
Growing Pains. So, yeah.
With Michael Keaton.
And Justine Bateman. Remember playing the sister Mallory?
Michael Keaton is his character's name.
Oh, I'm wrong. Alex P. Keaton.
Alex P. Keaton.
Played by Michael J. Fox.
Michael J.
I
Fox.
have to
We
take
both
away
lose points for that one.
Yes, we got no points. Okay,
No
we're going to
points.
move on. Oh my God, I said Michael Keaton. That's completely
Michael
wrong.
Keaton
I'm an
is
idiot.
a different person
Yeah,
altogether.
completely different person. Okay. All right, so you're 1 for 1.
1 for 1.
Here we go.
Well, I had like 1.5.
Okay, this one's a little more challenging.
Uh-oh.
Let's see if you get this one. I love this show, and I love this theme song. The lyrics go, streaks on the china never mattered before.
Oh.
Who cares?
Mr. Belvedere.
Oh, snap. Can you sing it? Can you sing the next line?
No, but somehow that just connected. Those words just were like Mr. Bell. Wait, say again. Streaks on the china never mattered before. No, I can't think of the. Give me more words.
On the
Maybe.
china never mattered before.
Remember this?
Oh yeah. Who cares?
When you drop kick your jacket as
You come through the door, no one there.
But
Sometimes
sometimes things get turned around.
And no one spared. All right. Anyways, okay. So that's Mr. Belvedere. You get a point for that one. Okay. So you got 2 points, right? I think that's how many.
Points and a half. Mm-hmm.
We will do one, and it's a little bit.
These are getting harder.
In the 90s, 80s, 90s. Here we go.
Wait, can I give you one?
Yeah, you're
off
probably
the top of my head?
gonna stump me, but go ahead.
I don't have any notes, but this just came in my head it was a show that I loved. Here are the lyrics to the theme song. Maybe the world is blind.
Oh, this
or
is
just
easy.
a little unkind, don't know. Seems you can't be sure of anything anymore. Although.
Of course. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, do you know it?
That's Punky Brewster.
Yes.
I used to have a big crush on Soleil Moon Frye. I'm just going to admit when
They're
this show
doing
was
a
on.
remake.
Yes, she's for Peacock, NBC, and she's grown up, has kids, and Freddie Prinze Jr. is the husband. And she still wears different color sneakers for some reason.
Yes, and Soleil Moon Frye is going to be there, so you can continue your crush.
I'm pretty sure Henry and Brandon are dead, so they're very old. Okay, so 1 point. I got 2 points. I could have sang the
You
rest
get
of
some
that.
points. I got some points.
Okay, we're gonna do one last one.
Okay.
There we go. Here's the theme song lyrics. It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. Wow, this still relates. Love and tradition of the grand design. Some people say it's even harder to find. Well, there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls, because all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every seam. Do you know this yet? As days go by, we're going to fill our house with happiness. The moon may cry, we're going to smother the blues with tenderness.
Wow. Vaguely familiar. It's not Silver Spoons, is it?
No.
No, I don't know it.
Oh my God, here it is.
Oh. Family Matters.
Yeah, it's the spin-off of Perfect Strangers. That's Family Matters.
Family
of course.
Matters. I got it as soon as I heard the music.
It's hard with just the lyrics,
The
but
lyrics I didn't know. I was thinking more like, I remember more like the growing pains, the silver spoons, the even earlier, the What's Happening.
oh yeah. Did What's Happening have theme songs? No.
Yeah.
No, it was
no, not What's
Not
Happening.
What's Happening.
With Arnold and Willis, that's What's Happening, right?
No, that's Different Strokes.
Different Strokes, that's
Different
what I was
Strokes, of
talking about.
course, has great lyrics.
Strokes.
So, hey, those might show up in later
What's
episodes.
Happening is older, pre-'80s.
I love What's Happening. Hey, D, Raj, give me a quarter. D, stop bothering Mama. And Rerun and Dwayne Wayne. Hey. But no, look, that's it. That's good for now. We'll save the rest for a future episode, and maybe we'll play the commercial jingles. But you did pretty good. I'm going to give you a passing grade for the theme song game show.
I win 3 Bibi Babkas.
You win 3 Bibi Babkas.
Who do you think you're talking to? Somebody nice?
Listener, if you enjoyed
Love
the
it.
show, if we touched nostalgia, if we brought you back to your childhood, definitely do us a solid. Leave us a rating and review in Apple Podcast. It would mean the world, and it's good social proof. And we just started. We have no reviews. We need something up there. Somebody leave a review.
Or if you just like hearing stories about how I saved my brother's life,
Yes.
let us know.
I'm sure there's going to be more of those coming up. Also, while you're doing that, make sure you subscribe to the show. You can find it in all podcast apps from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, to Stitcher, Google Podcast, and you'll never miss an episode because next week, Sophia, what are we doing?
We are going to watch Balky playing baseball.
Yes.
This is going great.
It should be great. Balky gets to play baseball. American pastime for, the Meposian. The Mepiat, as he says.
And of course, we'd love to hear from you, the listeners. You can email us at danceofjoypod@gmail.com. If you can't be bothered to write things out with your fingers, you can speak to us with your voice. It's much easier. Go to speakpipe.com/danceofjoypod and you can leave us a voice message.
Visit our website, danceofjoypod.com, for links to all our social networks. We're on the Twitters, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, and we got a Facebook group where you can come hang out. It's exclusive, closed just for our listeners. We can all geek out about Dance of Joy and Perfect Strangers.
And of course, if you love what you're hearing and if you're loving watching Perfect Strangers with us, please tell your friends, share this show, share Perfect Strangers, spread the joy. Everyone deserves 22 minutes of joy every day, and we're here to help you through that.
Yeah, word of mouth is the best thing for us, and a recommendation to your buddies will go a long way. Thank you for listeing to the Dance of Joy. We are so happy. Now we must do the Dance of Joy.
Now we are so happy we do the dance of joy!
Hey, 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 hey.